The university has taken a lot of difficult and transformational steps, as my colleagues have described, lots of similarities really across higher education to evolve and meet what is the worst health crisis of any of our lifetimes, with a key priority of keeping the university family healthy, safe, and well, but also curating our academic mission of research, teaching, and service, with much of that research and service being in direct service to the state. We have added another chapter to the university's Sunrise Plan that we're calling the Maroon and Gold Sunrise. Of course we are. And the Maroon and Gold Sunrise is how we are going to move students into university housing. It is a phased approach. It still uses the hybrid course delivery of some face-to-face, some hybrid, some distance learning that you've heard from everybody in the private schools and in the Minnesota state system. So this plan refers specifically to how we now reopen university housing and actually bring students back to campus on the Twin Cities, Duluth, and Rochester campuses. In the first phase, which will start a little earlier in Duluth than in the Twin Cities and Rochester, just because of how the class schedules work, students will move into university housing for an average of 10 days, depending on when they move in. They will be in sort of the dorm version of a stay-at-home order, where they can leave to attend classes, to eat, to exercise if they have to work. There are what I would call common sense exceptions, but otherwise they should stay at home, which would become their dorm room. If that phase or step goes well, using a holistic review that I'll detail for you at the end, because I know you'd like to learn more about that, then we would move to the next step. Step 2 opens access to more campus facilities, the rec, library, student unions, the surrounding community, and asks that students be home by 9 p.m. with also the same common sense exceptions if they work or have other reasonable reasons that they would have to be out later than that. If that goes well, using the same holistic review, we would extend the be home by time to midnight for 2 more weeks. And if that goes well, we would remove the be home by limit, and students would be on campus doing what students do in what we are now calling COVID normal, wearing masks 6 feet apart, avoiding large gatherings, but otherwise able to access all of campus facilities.
It is really an odd time, I understand that. But could you, for me, President Gabel, you mentioned in your comments that you would like to do all that you can to create an environment where students would want to come on campus. And I didn't really, from my perspective, I didn't really hear many bullet points that would make a student want to come on campus. It sounded to me like a stay-at-home plan in a 12-foot by 15-foot dormitory room could be problematic on numerous levels, particularly mental health, but also just the loss of autonomy and the entire transition from high school to college. It seems like the plans you've put in place, while I understand they're your best efforts to keep people safe, they are troublesome for me.
First few days, I don't think I could be anything but honest with you to say that that first period is not going to be much fun, right? It's not going to be zero fun, but it's going to be a very tamped down level of campus life while we reintegrate on the Twin Cities campus, and certainly in Duluth, thousands of students all at one time into an ecosystem. But this is the way that we think we can do it and then sustain it. But if we can do this right in a matter of less than 2 weeks, then we start to open things up again. And it starts to feel a lot more like the new normal. I know we all hate that phrase, but where you can go to different things, you can be out and you can have study group meetings, and you can meet with your professor if they're on campus, and you can go off campus and eat. You just get home before the biggest temptation starts. And if that goes well, then we start to open things up gradually. So we feel like this is the way to balance exactly what you're saying. But it gets a lot more fun over time if we make the hard choices in the beginning.
What would you tell the legislature would be the most help for you in trying to, if you would, almost in an emperor kind of fashion, you get to decide and you get to tell the legislature what it is you'd like us to do to make your job easier and the student experience better.
First and foremost, we always appreciate, as Chancellor Malhotra mentioned, the investment by the state into higher education. I would be remiss if I didn't start with appreciation for the way in which resources solve so many of our challenges. But with that said, over time, real support for the partnership between what all of us are doing that have large groups of people together and what's happening to support our ability to do the research into vaccines, mitigating treatment, and cheap, fast testing. We have the scientists to do it. It's just a question of the investment into those things, because then we're very happy to push them out, not only for our campus, for all of our campuses, and for the state, in order for us to be having more of the fun and less of the restriction as fast as possible.